into that effective global mobility program. What do you need, you as a company, you need to know? First of all, definitely cost. How much will it cost the company to do this? What are your financial responsibility? What's going to be the taxation? So the employee should definitely discuss and have agreement in place outlining the financial responsibilities of each party involved throughout the process. So there's no surprises. Everybody knows what they're getting themselves into and what responsibilities they're facing. Again, local laws. Local laws will determine the fees. The fees are for the applications and expenses that the company is required to pay. So again, we all talk about money. Policies. Company, this is what I guess my talk is all about. If you know the cost, you clarified in your agreement who is responsible for what, how to become effective, what to do it is, again, the policy that you will establish as a company. You will identify the stakeholders who will have their own responsibilities in the bigger picture. They will look at the bigger picture, so the whole, I think, the mechanism is running smoothly. So there's some example of a cost. So going back to the cost, what will the company has to face? And what are responsibilities? So going back to the cost, can I just push everything, my expense? I establish, I have contracts, I can send them all over the world. Can I push the fees onto the, I set up the agreement with the foreign worker, and I'm sending them to the countries. Is it something that I can totally write off? Is it something that will be not in my, the expense that will come out of my pocket? Again, you have to look at the laws for each country. So going back to that one-size-fits-all rule, it's not the case. So the local laws, they do require, there are differences. So, and each country will have their own laws and responsibilities. Who is responsible for the application fee? Who is responsible? Different stages of different applications that you may file for the, your worker will determine whether you as a company have responsibility, or you can shift the fees onto the employer. So for example, there's example Canada, France, and the United States. So in Canada, employees may not charge temporary foreign workers for the fees and costs incurred in hiring them. In France, there's no law stipulates that the country or applicant must pay any fees in assistance in filing the applications. So they're very liberal. In the United States, they're very strict. Some portion of applications, including Jake spoke about H-1Bs, any costs associated with H-1B petitions cannot be transferred onto the worker. This is responsibility of a company. And guess what? If you do, you most likely will be penalized. So this is a big no-no. Is in every step of application, every petition that you file. For example, if your employee wants to stay here permanently, and you decide, yes, this is something that you want to hear on a permanent basis, and during the stage of adjusting their statuses from non-immigrant to immigrant, is there any fees that you can shift onto them? So in the whole process of a GC process, there are different stages, and the laws are very clear. In the beginning, on the initial stages, which had to do with the perm, absolutely the company is responsible. On the further stages, there's a stage number 2, stage number 3. Stage number 2, you're dealing with filing the immigrant petition, and stage number 3, when they adjusting their status from non-immigrant, their fees can be transferred onto the beneficiaries. But you have to be clear. There are also some fees that you as a company can enter into the contract and then do the favor for your employees and absorb. So as you know, the employees, they do have families, and they come with them, and they stay here. So as a company, can you decide that you will cover those expenses? Are you obliged to? The answer is no. So I'm talking about your dependents who come on H-4 visas. Do you have to pay? The answer that I do receive, the question that I do receive is it mandatory? Because if the employer, do I have to pay for H-1B fees? As an employer, do I have to pay for the fees for the H-4? And the answer to the question is no, you're not. can you do it? Can you say, yes, we would love to have you, and I will absorb the fee? Absolutely. The last stage, when they're ready to a 485 stage, the application, when they file, and then the responsibility in making sure that the process goes smoothly, is it the stage that the employee is responsible? The answer is no. So not go into intricacies of 485 and adjusting in the United States and all the fees. Again, as an employee, can you do it? Absolutely. Are you obliged? No. So the bottom line is the cost in the whole process is you have to know, you have to comply, make sure that you're not violating the set rules and regulations. Sorry, I skipped it. So this is, I'm not going to, this is the slide we just discussed about it, and it gives you the example, Canada, and then I concentrated mostly on the United States, what fees are responsibilities of the employer, and then the fees which can be transferred onto the worker. Now, what is, again, going back to the compliance, what important to remember? So each stakeholder in the whole mobility program will have the responsibilities, again, to make sure that you're complying with the local laws. You as the HR, or the helping your business unit, can you always make a decision, right decision? Will you be educated enough to make a decision? And in some cases, as you probably all know, the law could be vague. There is no clear cut. Would I recommend at some stages, instead of just taking a risk or consult with your counsel? Absolutely. That's definitely going to be a good move. If you have a doubt in anything, I wouldn't recommend to take a risk. So in that picture comes your counsel. The counsel in each country that it would be recommended to consult in order to make sure you stay in compliance with the local laws. Sometimes it becomes really necessary. There are a lot of people, and you can assign a lot of people with different responsibilities as a company in the whole program. Is it a good idea to have maybe a single point of contact that owns the process, that's familiar with the terms of employment of those employees? Absolutely, because again, this probably be the reason why you would need to hire the attorney to inquire about the local laws to make sure, again, that you stay in compliance with the regulations. They do change. They could be vague. And some areas, you may not be able to make a decision right away. Now, with the training in the whole process becomes very important. The more you know, the faster, easier is going to be the process, and then you will be more in compliance. Now, again, this probably be one size, doesn't fit everything. There are different intricacies. There's very important that when you're familiar, you have a contact which will be familiar with the terms of employment for the foreign workers, who will know what they need to do in order, if necessary, provide the correct information to the governmental agencies. Next slide is what happens if you do have to change the assignment. Will it require action on your part? And to let you know, especially in the United States, and we all heard about filing amendments when you move people to different locations, and it's a new policy that came up with the CMEO decision. It's very important to know that the assignments are changed, that person, that single contact that we spoke about, is familiar and is notified about the changes. Because if you don't, they definitely can lead to the violations of very important guidance and then put you in an unfavorable situation. So we have what changes to the assignments. What are changes that you would really need to know about? changes to assignments, moving them to a new location, changes in the job description. So we all say those changes which may constitute a material change, for example, in the United States, in the US for the H-1B worker. Do you have to inform any local agencies about early completion of the assignment or about the termination of the foreign worker? As we may know, according to the US law on H-1Bs, if you do terminate, you have to notify the USCIS that you terminated. Otherwise, again, it leads you to responsibilities. You may become responsible for the wages. They leave, you don't notify them, and they can inform the government, and unfortunately, there will be consequences. So we talked about the early completion and the termination. So it's very important that people who are going to be a part of your global mobility are informed about that. So, you know, they do come, they stay, they work for you, they perform responsibilities, they're happy. They come to you and they say, I really like it, I want to stay here. You know, is it something that you can make it on the spot and make it happen? The decision that you can make, yes, absolutely. No, there should be a planning in the whole scheme. Because again, it doesn't happen overnight. Going back to the US, and somebody who decides to stay here, not here, in the United States permanently, can you just do it next day and have a green card? Absolutely no. So it's very important to plan in advance, to make sure that you're complying with the wishes of your employees. So there must be some planning done. Recently, you know, if I tell you that you will be okay to plan in the United States within 1 year to make sure that you comply with necessary regulations and laws and have the person adjust from the non-immigrant status to immigrant within 1 year, 365 days, and you will have enough time, probably no. As you all know, labor certification has been coming up really quickly. You know, it used to take 8, 9 months. Now they're coming, I had cases when they were certified within 3 months. You know, there are other steps that you can do and then rely. I'm talking about people who, you know, every visa will have a statutory limit that you can keep them in countries. In the United States, for H-1Bs, it's 6 years. Can you just decide, you know, if within 3 months, hitting that initial 6 years, that you can keep them here and have them adjust? Absolutely no. So the planning in advance is a must. So you make sure that all the steps are completed, and then the person obtains the green card. I think we open to questions. Any questions, guys? Did I bored you? Sure. This one? Oh, the pyramid one. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's written on the top? We can't read it.
It's integration.
Integration.
Yes, integration. We'll be happy to discuss. I know I was warned. I only have 30. I don't have 30 minutes. I have 15 minutes to discuss it, and then we'll take questions. So the question. For technical consultation for a couple of days on a client assignment, and client is ready to pay, is it allowed under business visa? So again, you know, I'll give you the example for the United States. You bought the equipment, yes? So the scenario, and we can discuss it more. For this scenario, you bought the equipment, and you need somebody to come and discuss the intricacies of that equipment. Is that the question? Just for technical. So what do you mean by technical consultation? Is it, you know, if it relates to that, my example, the equipment was purchased, and now the person has to go to either Canada or come to the United States to let the team know how that equipment operates. Is that the case? Or just to consult them, to consult somebody to use it? So I mean, in most of the cases, if just a technical consultation on the equipment which was sent to United States or vice versa to Canada, that most likely will be okay for the business business visa. So if you add to that technical consultation that he will stay for 6 months, and he will be not only advising somebody, but he will be putting all the equipment together. He will be working on that equipment. The business visa will not longer be the case. You will need a work permit. Did I answer the question? Again, it depends who is paying, okay? So normally for people who come on the technical consultation, they are paid by the foreign entity, okay? They're paid by the outside. If you're entering, in addition to technical consultation, you're putting all the equipment, you're staying here longer, and you're paying by the entity in that country, it probably will be a work permit.
To a software company, and we provide software to the various airlines. Now, many a times we have software upgrades which need to keep happening, and we need to depute someone to the client side, which may be in a different country, in order to upgrade that software and implement that software. In such a case, do I go ahead and apply for a business visa, or do I go for a work permit?
No, anything integration and is with implementation, that software would require a work permit.
Work permit.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, please.
Hi, it's still good morning. So my question has two folds. One, you just said that if the paying entity is a home country, then you can able to, sustain business visa. Now, in the scenario where you have been paid by the home country, but the home country is cross-charging that time spent by the particular assignee in the host country, do you think still we can able to stick to business visa, or we need to switch to work permit?
So again, going to your question, it depends what activities that person is going to be involved.
No, but the moment you are cross-charging, you are charging the labor or the time spent by the particular person into the host country. Do you think it will not be as designated as a productive work because the home country is being paid for the time spent in the host country?
I cannot hear the question. Sorry, I couldn't hear your question. I'm so sorry.
So my basic bottom line question is that if home country cross-charges the time spent by the assignee in the host country, and you answered one question that if the paying entity is home country, right, assignment, whatever the cost is, then we can stay able to stick to business visa. But my basic question is, if it has been cross-charged, $63 per hour, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, the person stays in home country under business visa, do you think we can still stick to business visa, or we need to convert into work permit?
Pay alone itself will not determine whether it's going to be a business visa or work permit.
No. So I agree with you that the person is, the activity which he or she will be performing is under the purview of business visa. So the activities are not productive work, but the cross charge from home to host country is happening, labor charge.
Okay.
So do you think we need work permit or business visa?
We can talk about this. I won't be able to give you an answer right away on this question about the cross-charging. So we can talk after the conferences. You can come up to me, and I will need more details to know.
Okay, sounds good. The second part of my question is the kind of activities. So I personally feel that there is a very thin line between the activities which you perform in the host country that demarks that you need a work permit or a business visa. So my basic question is that if you are performing, people are really confused in training, right? If you are provided training, then business visa would suffice. But if you are providing training And obviously, if you are providing training, then the home country will definitely charge the host country. So providing training and training provided, how do you differentiate business and work permit?
So training itself, you cannot, training can involve multiple stages. So for training purposes, you can train at the same time you will do on-the-job training. So if you come and you train, and at the same time you're completing the assignment, it's not longer to be a business visa. So you're entering, you are, at the same time you're training somebody, you're completing, you're working on a real project, and you will achieve the end result for that project. So for example, the different categories, you came as you trainee, you have a staff, the new staff moved, and you are working for the client A. And on that training that you perform with other employees, you performing the responsibilities. I'll give you the example. We're performing responsibilities as a computer programmer, software engineer, working on a real-life project. And that project, by the time the training is completed, the project will be completed. That will require most likely work permit.
We have time for maybe just a quick question, and then it's time for the break.
Sure. The question that I also have seen, all the fees for H-1Bs and the question for premium processing, can it be absorbed by the employer? And the answer is, this is what's your company's policy? What will be the benefit? Who is getting the benefit? So if I am an employee and I want to go home because I have a wedding to attend,